Hope you all had a wonderful Sunday and your weekend in general, if we're being completely honest here, because unfortunately, Monday morning, Monday afternoon, we gotta dive dick deep into just the same old crap over and over again. Mostly, it's just the elite class wanting everybody to just submit, bend the knee, bend over, pull down your pants, and take the fucking jab regardless, and whatever other jab we want to force on you into the future. Very few people are coming out with the right messaging when it comes to this. Listen, if you think that it's a good idea for yourself, your family, by all means, but I'm not going to tell you to go out and do it. I wouldn't expect you to just blindly follow and listen to everything that everybody says. I think that that's a stupid way to live your life. I think most people don't do that. They kind of pick and choose what they like to believe from whoever they want to believe it from, and that's totally your right to do it. That's a free and open society in the best possible way that you can conduct yourself. Full stop. Nothing else really to add. And then you have all of those authoritarians that are out there that, well, they just want to tell you exactly what to do at all times, how to do it, when to do it, and why you should be doing it. Mostly, the latter part of it is because I said so, right? When you dig down to it, you figure out that their motivation is purely narcissistic. These people trying to project their own insecurities out onto everyone else, saying that it's always constantly somebody else's fault, that they never have to take responsibility for themselves, and that they have to just end up using other people as scapegoats, okay? We'll get to those people very shortly, but I have Sarah Huckabee Sanders, one of the many former press secretaries for the Trump administration, first time around. We'll wait and see what happens. But she's running for, yes, governor of Arkansas, and it sounds, well, if she's going to get the nomination, I think she already has, or she will in the very near future, has the Trump endorsement, and it's just going to full stop make her the nominee because, well, honestly, her father, Mike Huckabee, was the governor of Arkansas, very well beloved, and yeah, she's just going to step in and she's going to fill those shoes, and she's been pretty based on a bunch of topics, and if you were to just go off this headline here, says that she urges Americans to get vaccinated. If you just run off of headlines, which a bunch of people do for a lack of a better term rather, and more apt of what's between their ears, you might just think that, oh my God, Sanders just kind of bit down on that black pill and now she's going to start forcing mandates. And it's like, no, not quite. Former White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, in an op-ed published Sunday, argued Americans to get vaccinated against COVID-19 and praised President Trump's Operation Warp Speed for the development of effective vaccines. Yeah, okay. For what I know, okay, and I could be off on this one, but what Trump has always said about the vaccine is like, if you want it, get it, it's available. Our wonderful Operation Warp Speed made it available. I don't think he specifically said, and I could be wrong on this one, that everybody should get it under penalty of law. And I don't think he's ever gone that far. I don't think he's ever advocated for mandatory vaccinations. I just always thought that he left it up for people to decide for themselves. He just wanted to take credit for the development of it. Now, if we can just kind of tighten up that process and hold these big pharma companies accountable for the different unintended side effects of the vaccination process, we'll just go ahead and say that and throw out the big old blanket term, because you get into specifics that might be true, big tech censorship comes a-knockin'. Sanders, an Arkansas Republican gubernatorial candidate and Trump's spokesperson from 17 to 19, wrote in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette that she was inoculated against COVID-19 several months ago with a Trump vaccine. Okay, that was her choice. She did it. Obviously, she might have a couple of comorbidities, and that was her decision to do that. It doesn't really get into her stance on the vaccine, and I'll link this article if you want to read through the rest of it, but her statement on the vaccine itself, she mostly just goes through and just calls out obvious points for Kamala Harris being a hypocrite, saying she wouldn't take any vaccine that was developed by Trump. It's like, fucking Trump's not going to be in the laboratory mixing fucking colored liquids and beakers. I don't quite think so. That's not necessarily his area of expertise. His is making gaudy gold-plated buildings and rating Eastern Bloc supermodels. But no, he just removed the red tape, and that's what he did. Because when you're president, you have a very specific amount of things you can do, and now his predecessor is figuring out exactly how much he can get away with. So yeah, Harris, it's like, nope, nothing under Trump. And then all of a sudden, everybody should get vaccinated at all times regardless. No questions asked. Follow the science. A little bit different messaging. That's what Huckabee Sanders points out. And then again, this is her statement, okay? this is the point that actually matters. It's a little bit different than the headlines, so please divulge me for a moment. Some pundits and politicians are resorted to bribing, mocking, and even name-calling to coerce people into taking the vaccine. But the truth is that many Arkansanians? What is the denizen of an Arkansas resident? Arkansans? That makes sense. Who have concerns are simply trying to make a responsible decision for themselves, their families, and their communities. She wrote what I've been saying, and a bunch of other intelligent, well-informed people, not trying to stroke my own ego, have been saying as well. Take that on yourself. Contemplate it. Don't just blindly follow the people who say, don't take it, it's developed in a lab with nefarious purposes. Again, I'd like to make more specific, funny examples, but you know, YouTube. And then the other side that says, yeah, just follow the science and get 45 fucking jabs in perpetuity because the government knows best. And she also added, so to anyone still considering the merits of vaccination, I leave you with this encouragement. Pray about it, discuss it with your family and your doctor. Filter out noise and fear-mongering and condescension and make the best, most informed decision you can that helps your family, community, and our great state be its very best. What's wrong with that statement? There's nothing compelling about it. She's just saying make the best decision for yourself. And that's what a leader should be doing. Gives you the keys, gives you the opportunities to succeed. Doesn't tell you exactly where to go, okay? Doesn't hold your hand through everything. Just gets out of your way, gives you what you need to succeed, pushes you in the right direction. And that's what she's doing here, okay? She's going to be a shoo-in if she wins the primary, and it looks like she's probably going to anyways. But unfortunately, that is the end of optimistic news. Now we got to dive into what's happening abroad because, yeah, Sunday it was big old Europe, not quite riot time, but it was at least peaceful protesting, right? It seems to be following the same trajectory 2021 is in comparison to 2020, because around this time last year, what was happening? Well, there were what the media was calling peaceful protests, and now in 2021, we have the exact same replication where they're actually peaceful protests. But mainstream media is really shying away from this, mostly because there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of people taking to the streets because guess what's coming? Oh, that old conspiracy theory. Oh, there will never be vaccine passports. What are you thinking? Oh, there won't be any vaccine mandates. You're just being a conspiracy theorist. Where's your tinfoil hat? And now all of a sudden, we need vaccine mandates because the hesitancy is just too much. And vaccine passports, I don't want to be going anywhere with anybody who hasn't been vaccinated, so I need to make sure that I'm safe at all times because my safety is everyone's safety. See a little bit of a change that we've made? Yeah, but protests rage across Europe as lockdowns, vaccination mandates start. They aren't quite coming for the general population, but for right now, the vaccine mandates are for healthcare workers. But don't worry, we've discussed this before. It'll be extrapolating out very shortly. And that's why, I guess, for Europeans, that's enough. That's fucking enough, okay? Because the states, well, not the states of the European Union, the countries in the European Union, they were some of the hardest affected by the lockdowns. You guys remember those pictures, right? During that little serene period where everybody was told 15 days to flatten the curve, and then before George Floyd bit the curb, there was kind of this eerie silence where it looks like things were going to be all right. Everybody was just kind of in this together, and then that was shattered apart. Well, now, okay, outside of the people that used to be just sitting at home, you know, just trying to wait this out, make sure that we don't overwhelm the hospitals or whatever the narrative change was at the time. But no, you had all of those Italians. I remember one specific video. It was in a courtyard and people were outside their balconies and they were singing something about Mamma Mia, pasta and meatballs. I don't fucking know. It's Italian. If it wasn't about that, it was about some fucking ancient vendetta, Antonio Andolini. But yeah, it was nice. It was a little bit cringe, but this also predated all the TikTok dances from the nurses, so, you know, you could take what you can get from that time. It was a weird little off-putting six weeks or so. But now, all of those people that willingly sacrifice so much are asked to asking to sacrifice whatever is left in order for the greater good to prosper, which some abject retards think that that's what Star Trek was pushing all those years ago. Remember, the needs of the few outweigh the needs of the one. But then they realize that there's another fucking quarter of the film where they go back and, you know, save Spock after he makes the ultimate sacrifice. But anyways, anti-lockdown and anti-vaccine passports, and obviously all that shit is stupid. So the Protests erupted across Europe on July 24th. That would be Saturday, North American time, but they were running all through the weekend. Thousands upon thousands of demonstrators came out in London, Dublin, Paris, Rome, Athens, and other cities across Europe, according to footage and news reports. We touched on a couple of these not that long ago, and yeah, France has been getting tore up. And now Italy. Italy is getting on the big side as well, because they're getting similar draconian lockdown side effects as well, with the same French approach to this where, oh, don't worry, it's just healthcare workers right now. Yeah, it was just 15 days to flatten the curve, right? Demonstrations in France appeared to be the most tense, with riot police firing tear gas as clashes erupted in central Paris. That's just kind of what they do. That's a raison d'etre. Police sought to push back demonstrators near the capital's Gare Saint-Larez railway station after protesters knocked over a police motorbike ridden by two officers, news footage showed. Thousands of Italian demonstrators gathered in Rome, Naples, Verona, and Milan on July 24th, according to videos and photos published online. In Verona, thousands chanted "No Green Pass," referring to the Italian government decision to implement a vaccine passport-like system. See, it's not vaccine passports, it's certifications of vaccination. That's totally different. For people to enter local fairs, stadiums, theaters, and other gatherings. Anywhere where people could be, you got to show your papers. And I feel like Italy's probably already been through shit like this before. So yeah, the people who are old enough to remember that, they're probably a little bit leery at this point. So you can see why they're striking out against it. Now, let's cross the English Channel and let's head over to the UK, where I don't know what happened to Boris. Like, the dude came in like a house of fire into the Conservative Party, taking over the leadership, and led to that barnstormer of an absolute election holocaust in 2019, completely slaughtering the Labour Party. And now he's governing like Jeremy Corbyn, the man he fucking trounced. I don't get it. What the fuck happened? Like, he got married and all of a sudden his fucking sense left his head. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Because it's not bad enough that, oh yeah, by the fall they're going to have a vaccine passport, like everybody in Continental Europe is anywhere between peacefully and riotously protesting over. Yeah, don't worry, it'll come for the UK very shortly. It's just got to make that slight little jog. Perhaps it should just hop on one of those refugee rafts across the English Channel on a daily basis. It'll get there a little bit quicker and they can hurry up and protest against that. But no, they're going to be putting in a social credit system like what they have in communist China. Fucking what? Fucking what? Prime Minister Boris Johnson is set to launch a communist China-style social credit score app that will reward families based on government-approved choices at the grocery store. You get shit like this because you're allowed to just designate anything a health emergency, right? Oh, it was the pandemic. And then all of a sudden, racism, because a black guy overdosed on fentanyl and had a cop's knee on his back. Yeah, he died, so therefore racism is a public health crisis. And now you're tackling things that, yeah, okay, do lead to adverse health effects, yes. Okay, obesity is a problem, but it's not the government's job to get rid of it, okay? If you want to get out of the healthcare business, that's probably a good fucking idea, because whenever the government is involved in something, it normally becomes too costly, too inefficient, and too unsustainable. That's what's happened. That's why everybody had to be locked down for so long, because they needed to protect the NHS. Oh, the socialized healthcare system that is just enviable to all Americans out there that have two fucking brain cells to rub together and think that the government man should be here to take care of our every whim. But this is eventually where it leads, okay? We don't want to overload the hospital system, so guess what? We're just going to make sure that we keep track of every bag of chips that you buy. This won't end badly at all. A supposedly conservative government, exactly, will launch an app by the end of the year to monitor the supermarket spending habits of families in the UK. Why would you sign up for this? Okay? Those who choose healthier options such as fruit and vegetables, again, if you eat an abundance of fruit, it's just as bad as sitting down with a tub of ice cream, things that we'll be discussing at a later date, but just take a look at the role fructose plays on your body and then the creation of a fatty liver, and it's just an entire rabbit hole we can go down at a later date. Or engage in exercise will be rewarded with loyalty points. Oh, don't worry, they have the carrot and the stick in this example, in an app which will translate to discounts and other incentives. Ugh. There's a whole team in Downing Street working on this. Oh, great. Is that supposed to make people feel better about it or a little bit more leery about it? And the Prime Minister thinks that we simply cannot go on as before and that we must now tackle it head on, a Whitehall source told The Telegraph. Terrific. Terrific. I get where you're coming from. You want a healthier population, so if a pandemic such as the previous one pops up that seems to adversely affect people that aren't as healthy as anyone else, you want to encourage them to start living a healthier life. This is just the absolute wrong way to go about it. This is the most totalitarian approach you can possibly make. He has been on a vigorous diet and exercise program, and it is likely he will play a leading role in fronting this whole campaign. The outgoing head of the NHS, Lord Stevens, said the UK's socialised healthcare system is being weighed down in the future if the government failed to tackle the rising obesity in the country. It's exactly what we laid down. Before going into this topic, there are many benefits to exercise, to leading a healthy life in general, to eating a balanced diet. Okay? It stops a whole bunch of shit, okay? And if you come in contact with certain viruses that are out there and you become infected by them, and if you keep yourself in good shape, you're less affected by them. That is 100% true, and I have a first-hand account of that. It's just, again, to show you the contrast. That's why we opened up with Sarah Sanders' statement on this, and then you got Boris Johnson over here saying, oh, well, listen, if it's going to be working for me, I'm going to go on this diet and exercise program, and I'm going to mandate it to fucking everyone. So we track and trace your food and exercise. And then once again, to just briefly touch on some more stuff that we've already traveled. Again, the NFL, once I think that they hit peak retardation, they keep pushing it further, right? Like, it's not enough to financially fine teams. It's not enough to financially fine individual athletes. They're starting to mark the unvaccinated players, okay? If you start looking down, there's 10 points to a genocide. I hate to ratchet up the rhetoric or anything, but when you start segregating parts of the population, that's pretty far down there. It's getting awfully close to just leading people into an empty stadium, tricking them into think that it's practice, and then just shooting them in the back of the head. NFL camps open up with color-coded wristbands identifying vaccinated and unvaccinated players. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. I think that the NFL right now is just being the test case, okay? And then this, if it's a success, or if it's a little bit too far for too many people, they'll dial it back a little bit, but this is going to be coming to big organizations out there. Just wait and see. Unvaccinated Steelers and Buccaneers players wear yellow wristbands. That's how... oh my god. And they're even yellow. Do people not crack a history book? Anyways, that's how two early reporting NFL teams are segregating their players. The NFL mandated in mid-July that teams develop a way to identify their vaccinated and unvaccinated players, color-coded wristbands, where one of the ways the league suggested teams go about doing that. Yes, because stars tend to fall off the jerseys during contact practice. And it appears the Steelers and the defending champs have followed the advice. It's fucking weird. You guys are in Tampa Bay, fucking Florida. Why are you following along with this horseshit? I could understand the Steelers because they were the origins of all of this woke shit with the Rooney Rule a couple decades ago. That's where the door started to get cracked open. And as much as I love the Steelers, and they participated in at least the best Super Bowl that I watched between the Steelers and the Arizona Cardinals, that game still fucking rules. They're just woke garbage, and I'm glad that they got the fucking shit kicked out of them in the 70s by the Raiders all the fucking time. Mel Blount's still an absolute badass. Anyways, so like I said, they're just going to be using the NFL as the test case scenario in this one, okay? See how much they can get away with, okay? Because they haven't outright said that, yeah, you need to get vaccinated, okay? They're just making it incredibly difficult. And now the federal government is just deciding, let's see how far we can push our own people. Let's take a look at this. We're just going to start vaccinating some of our employees, some of our public officials. First, federal agency mandating COVID-19 vaccine. For a virus that, remember, has a mortality rate of 0.01% for healthy populations out there. That's what we're doing. Stopped being about the virus a long time ago. I keep saying it, but it keeps ringing true. The Department of Veteran Affairs, oh my god, it didn't take long for Biden to go after the VA, now did it? Will require its healthcare employees to receive the COVID-19 vaccines. It's starting the exact same way that it has across Europe. It's the globalists. becoming the first major federal agency to implement such a mandate. We're facing vaccines for Title 38 employees because it's the best way to keep veterans safe. Oh, really? What about opening up the possibility to vaccinate the veterans? How about that one? You know, the people who might most likely be at risk. How about them? No? Okay. But again, there are more questions to be asked because we've seen some efficacy numbers out there. So if you're going to be forcing that shit on people, how is this supposed to be keeping veterans safe anyways? Anyway, something breakthrough. Especially as the Delta variant spreads across the country, Veteran Affairs Secretary Dennis McDonough said in a statement, Title 38 personnel, who include doctors, dentists, and registered nurses, will have 8 weeks to get fully vaccinated. Fully vaccinated means getting both Pfizer or Moderna shots or the single shot roll of the dice Johnson & Johnson jab. If employees refuse, they could be fired. The department pointed to how dozens of medical groups, including the just more appeal to authority. Look at these other people. They did it. They're fine, right? No. Yeah. Another fundraising op. American hospital associations have recently voiced support for companies to mandate vaccines for all healthcare workers. Valerie Jarrett has as well. So yeah, what could possibly go wrong when the elites start telling you how you should live your life? I don't know. Whenever a veteran or VA employee sets foot in a VA facility, they deserve to know that we have done everything in our power to protect them from COVID-19. How about just take care of veterans? How about that one in general? How about cater to what they did? Because remember, they made huge sacrifices, okay? And now you're asking them to serve even more. You don't get it. You're supposed to be assisting them, but they don't care. They don't care. This is all about just telling people what to do. Asked about the mandate at the White House. President Joe Biden said, yes, Veteran Affairs is going to, in fact, require that all doctors working in the facility are going to have to be vaccinated. As he stared glassy-eyed, meanwhile, he was snapping at motherfuckers left, right, and center. Because there's nothing going on with Biden anymore. This dude is totally fucked, okay? You're such a pain in my neck. Imagine if you will, Trump doing anything even remotely close to this, okay? He called Jim Acosta, okay? Luke Skywalker's favorite journalist ever. Fucking moron. Just check Mark Hamill's Twitter feed. He literally said that. Yeah, Trump called Acosta fake news, and everybody spurged out about it. Gave CNN about a week's worth of coverage. But Biden just freaking out on somebody asking about pulling out troops from Iraq. Or rather, that was the overarching theme of the little presser event they were holding. And one of the few opportunities that anybody gets to ask Biden a question, considering they're talking about pulling out troops from Iraq, I think it's pretty tangentially related, right? Because the veterans that are going to be coming out of that senseless war will be in contact with the VA in some form or fashion, obviously, right? So that gets brought up. And then you want to just pivot a little bit and talk about forcing them to be jabbed up. What does that mean for the greater population of federal employees? And then Biden freaks out because he didn't have that on his bingo card and he can't quite think of anything fun or witty to say. Instead, he just snaps because that definitely isn't one of the top symptoms or one of the more common things associated with Alzheimer's. President Biden snapped at an NBC News reporter. It's fucking NBC. It's NBC. I'm sure this question was pretty lubed up for him too. Kelly O'Donnell for asking about the Department of Veterans Affairs vaccine mandate on Monday during a meeting with Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi at the White House on Monday. After meeting with the Iraqi leader, Biden took several questions on the United States' relationship with Iraq and the American strategy in the Middle East. You're on your own now, I think, maybe. I don't know, unless something, wink, wink, happens between now and the time that we're definitely 100% going to be pulling out. Yeah, you guys are on your own, unless, you ask nice. Anyways. As White House staff began ushering reporters out of the room, O'Donnell shouted a question about Veteran Affairs Secretary Dennis McDonough's department-wide COVID vaccine mandate for all its healthcare workers. You're such a pain in my neck, but I'm going to answer your question because we've known each other so long. O'Donnell retorted, I take that as a compliment, Mr. President, earning a chuckle from Biden. Ugh. Again, right? the mainstream media, if Trump was saying that to, I don't know, let's just make up somebody who would have been friendly in the media. Let's just say Newsmax had a bigger presence during that time. They would have sent a reporter there and they would have asked something sympathetic towards Trump. And he would have said, you know what, that's a really nice question. You know what, that skirt, it really fits you nice. It shows off your legs. You're great. And we've known each other for a while. Don't worry about that. That would have been taken out of context. Okay. And maybe, I don't know, Fox News hasn't run their fucking bullshit this evening, so maybe they'll take this out of context, the "you're a pain in my neck" part. But just the chummy relationship here. Somebody who's been around the White House since 1994, or rather the W administration in the early 2000s. They're all in this together, okay? Why do you think the messaging gets out there so efficiently? Why do you think everybody's scared of the Delta variant, or once that one falls out of favor, what are the other ones what are some of them other variants out there? The Mobius strain, the fucking Odyssey strain, whatever. They'll come up with something new because this is never going to fucking end until you stop listening. And that's what I'd like to do. But it's also important to know what they're talking about so you know how to fight back against them. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.